Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Allison and today I am going over the second half of our February 2019 zero-based budget. So I always seem to post the beginning of the month budget. That's because that's our more significant budget where we pay most of our bills and we make the most progress. And the second half of the month is really more of a boring time for us and a little more insignificant in the grand scheme of things. But this month I wrote a goal for myself to film this budget so you can really see what a whole month looks like for us. So not just the first half, but a whole month for us. It's kind of the end of the month right now. We have been on this budget that I'm about to go over for almost a week now. I came down with the flu, right like the day that we got paid, basically. And so we wrote this budget while I had the flu, and I have just been recovering ever since, basically. So it's still February. I'm going to get this sent out to the YouTube world so you can see what a whole month of budgeting looks like for us. This month is a little more significant than it normally is because we had some unexpected income that I will talk about as we start looking at the budget, and that definitely made it more of an exciting end of the month for us. But as you'll see, it's pretty small compared to the beginning of the month, which I will link up here so you can kind of compare the two. Also, I know that my February 2019 first half budget that I posted is kind of hard to see, so hopefully you can watch it on a computer and blow it up. This one I'm zooming into so you can actually see the numbers better if you're watching on your phone. I hope you enjoy this second half of our February budget, and let's get started. Welcome back to our beautiful budget. We are going to go over the second half of the budget. Before I get started, I'm going to make sure to zoom in this time. Last month I forgot to zoom in. I'm going to start down here at the bottom of the budget and go over this second half here. So the first half of our budget has actually been cleared out and it is ready for the beginning of March. So don't pay attention to that because it's not actually accurate right now. The cash and everything is all messed up. But the middle of the month payday is what we are looking at. So this half of the month is when only Aaron gets paid. As you can see at the beginning of the month, we both get paid, and the second half of the month, just Aaron gets paid. Usually, the second half of the month is just Aaron's salary, whereas the beginning of the month is where he gets some commission payments. This month was different because he unexpectedly had some PTO time paid out by his employer. It was time that he couldn't transfer from 2018 to 2019, and so they paid out about an additional $1,000, which we were not expecting. So we were both pretty happy about that, and it made this paycheck bigger than what it normally is. It's about $1,000 more than what it normally is. So that definitely helped our second half of the month here. It's looking better than it normally does. We'll just start by going through all of the areas of the second half of our budget. So we have the income up at the top here, and then everything else is subtracted from that, and we are left with the remaining amount, which is what we put into savings. So we had our water bill at the second half of the month. That is an auto pay, as well as our home security system, our identity theft protection, we have an iTunes subscription, and our gym membership. So all of those come out automatically. Then we have the items that we transfer. So we have our gas expense. This varies each month based on what we have left in our gas checking account. We actually had more than we normally do at this time of the month. So we only transferred $80 into our gas account just because we didn't really need very much. Next is the personal money for both Aaron and I. So that was $60 for each of us. And then we also have a miscellaneous checking account that we both use for things that we have forgotten about. We transferred $40 for that. Typically it's a little bit more than $40, but we felt like because February is a shorter month and we were able to get some extra money put into our personal accounts that we would be good in the miscellaneous category if we only did $40. We also have a random transfer section, and that is for anything that comes up randomly that we need to transfer. Next will bring us down to cash envelopes. So this, as you can see up here, is just the sum all of the items from our cash envelope spreadsheet or table right up here. So we have this whole line right here. That is where our cash envelope totals pull from. So we do keep track of gas here, even though we don't use cash to buy gas. We just like to keep track of how much we've budgeted each month for it here, so that's why it's purple. But everything else is a cash item in our budget. So groceries I'll talk about in a second, but we only got out $30 in cash for groceries. Non-edible grocery is our category where we buy things like toilet paper and paper towels and garbage bags. We typically budget more. Well, we budget more for everything at the beginning of the month, and that's just because we have more income at the beginning of the month and we're able to fit in more expenses. But this $20 was just for a couple things that we needed. As you can see, earlier in the month, we budgeted $70 in non-edible. So it's just a little bit to supplement there. Pet care is another $40. We have one of our cats going through some medical things right now, so we're just kind of trying to cushion the pet care section for anything that might come up that we can pay cash for. Restaurant, we typically don't budget a large amount in restaurant, and usually the second half of the month we don't budget anything. January was a different story because we went on a trip, and so that's where that $120 was for. Car maintenance, Aaron knows of some oil sale that is going on for car oil, so we budgeted $80 so he can get a little bit more oil before the sale's over at the end of the month. Home maintenance is nothing, gift is nothing, clothing nothing, upcoming expenses nothing, Christmas, work expenses nothing. All right, so you can see that the second half of the month we really don't budget very much for our cash envelopes. So $170 is all we took out. That's funny because $710 is what we took out at the beginning of February. So speaking of groceries, we actually went grocery shopping before we got our cash out. So we just used our checking account for our grocery expenses and put it into our budget that way. So part of this random spent category is groceries, but also Aaron went on a weekend trip to Arizona to visit his cousin and spent some money there as well. Because it just happened to be the weekend that we got paid, but also that I was home with the flu and we did not budget before he went on the trip. It was a pretty cheap trip because he was just staying with his cousin. So he just spent money unbudgeted for, and we budgeted after he came home. So I think we spent about, $150 on groceries or something, and then Aaron spent another about $150 in Arizona, so that's what this $300 is here. So we got groceries, but then we also budgeted a little bit extra for cash for our grocery category, and that's just for things that might have come up that we forgot about. We just like to have a little cushion in our grocery budget, and that's how we make it work. Finally, we have our buffer. So we just keep a pretty small buffer in our account because honestly, if we have much more than $27, we are going to spend it. And it turns out being extra money that we feel the need to spend. So we keep our buffer actually pretty small, and that is usually how much money we have in our account by the time we get paid next. So $27 was our buffer this time, and that's because we wanted this to be a rounded number here, but we usually keep it around $20 to $30 as a buffer. So we have more in our checking account right now because not everything has come out. This is how we keep track of what has come out of our account up here in this area, up here under February. Whoop, there we go. So everything that has been listed here is the bills that have come out of our account so far. So there's only a few more things left that need to come out of our account, and that's just Simply Safe and Xander both come out at the very end of the month. So those are empty here, but everything else has come out. So that helps us know with the money that we have in our account right now, what do we still need to prepare for, and then how much is really left. Because even though our buffer down here is $27, usually, you know, with we round up change and whatnot, so it's not actually $27. This just helps us have a better idea of really how much we have left. Another great thing that happened this month is we got our tax return. So over here, you can see the total that we put into savings in February. So that is our tax return, which was about $2,100 plus what we had left over in our middle of the month payday, and then what we paid at the beginning of the month, which is not actually $1,700. I believe it was $950, but definitely watch the first half budget so you can kind of see how these compare, the beginning of the month versus the middle of the month. And then you can see our overall here, $4,500, which is a great month for us. It's the best month we've had so far in our savings journey, and we are off to a good start in 2019. We have saved $7,000. We have actually probably done more than $7,000 because we have had a small deposits here and there that we have put in for just random other things as well. This is a great number, and it's also a great feeling to be able to save some money because we have had a really awful start to 2019. Watch my video about how Murphy visited us, and we essentially had to empty out our entire emergency fund that we had been able to save up in the first few months of us being debt-free, and we essentially had to start all over in January. So this is about where we're at on our emergency fund right now. We are getting there. We are moving forward, and we are shooting for having our $30,000 emergency fund by August. So stay tuned to see if that actually happens. So I hope you enjoyed the second half of our February budget. It was a pretty good month for us, a short month, and what started out as a pretty, I don't know, disappointing month, I guess. But overall, February for our finances was a good month. My plan is to continue to post both of our budgets each month so you can see what that looks like for us, especially now that we're in baby step 3 and the money that we have left over we are actually keeping and not putting towards debt anymore, which is super exciting for us. Thank you for watching this video. If you have liked what you have seen in this video and on my channel, please consider subscribing so you never miss a video. The subscribe button is just, right down here. And I look forward to posting more videos very soon. Thank you for watching. I will see you next time. Bye.